Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast with your host, Justin Tamzett. With over 30 years in the fitness industry, JT is a globally recognised authority with a mission to lower healthcare costs worldwide by getting more people moving and moving more often in quality facilities with qualified professionals. Every episode, JT digs deep with our guests to bring you insights that will help you lead, innovate, and boost your bottom line. So let's dive in. Take it away, JT.
Wouldn't life as an owner be easier if we knew what to do and what to avoid to be successful with our marketing? That's got to be a hell yeah. We're covering that today. Do you ever get stressed? Do you ever get overwhelmed? That's a hell yeah too. Well, with a global expert on brain health joining us for wise words. And wouldn't you love even more education from your fitness business podcast? That's got to be an even bigger hell yeah. So we have a huge announcement about a new layer of education that we're bringing to you starting this month. And finally, wouldn't you love to know what is and then become a FBP insider? That's a hell yeah as well. There's a massive announcement in this episode straight after the main interview. So all right, Fitness Business Podcast listeners, Season 3 is where we stop taking notes and start taking action. Our season theme is From Talk to Action. To be honest, I'm not sure where to start with our first show of Season 3. I've got so much cool stuff to share about the podcast and what we're launching, but I would beg you to please hang in there after the main interview, as the innovations we have in store for you are huge. They're innovative and they're evolutionary for our industry. I promise it will be straight after the main interview. However, between seasons, we have seen two beloved fitness business rock stars pass away, and both were close to me and had a huge impact on my life. I'd like to take a moment to pay my respects to two incredible people, Will Phillips and Vicky Brick. Will was the founder of Rex Roundtables. He was a challenger of thinking, a voracious reader, and a deep thinker about our industry. Will was my first Rex Roundtable chair nearly 30 years ago. And later, he mentored me into becoming a Rex chair myself. He had faith in me to represent the Rex brand in Australia. And without any doubt, he's had the greatest impact on leaders in our industry across the globe. Honestly, it's fair to say, if there was no Will Phillips, there would be no Rex Roundtables. And without Rex, so many owners and their businesses wouldn't be where they are today. Now that's a legacy many of us could only dream of having. Vicky Brick represented the next generation of fitness royalty. Daughter of Lynn and Victor Brick, sister of John, and CEO of Brick Bodies, Vicky led with fearless determination in the ultra-competitive Baltimore market. I first met her when she was on a gap year in Australia, working as a personal trainer at Fitness First. I watched her grow into a passionate, tenacious leader who cared deeply about this industry. I was there at the Ursa Institute when she met her now husband, Evan, and together they have a beautiful daughter, Jordan, who I'm sure has inherited some of Vicky's unstoppable spirit. In recent years, I had the honour of chairing the Rex Roundtable Vicky was a member of, and I'll never forget the October 2023 meeting she hosted. Despite her battle with ovarian cancer, she put Brick Bodies in the hot seat to grow and improve for the sake of her team and her members. She fought for 4 years with grit, grace, and fire. Fuck cancer. In just 1 week, we lost two incredible industry contributors, and the world lost two amazing humans. I feel so grateful you were both in my life. R.I.P. Will and Vicky. This season, Wise Words will be the same guest, dropping nuggets of wisdom to help you personally. As leaders, we take so much on our shoulders, and these 3-minute segments this season, I'm going to be asking the questions to Dr. Patrick Porter, an award-winning author, educator, consultant, entrepreneur, and speaker. Dr. Porter has been on the cutting edge of brainwave entrainment technology for at least 32 years. His newest brain training platform, BrainTap, is distinctively designed to activate the brain's neuroplasticity. The BrainTap headset uses light and sound technology in combination with Dr. Porter's proprietary guided visualization audio sessions to help people achieve supreme brain fitness. I have one, and I BrainTap most days. So, Dr. Porter, your mission is better a billion brains. Well, today, you have a billion gym owners and entrepreneurs listening. Well, I wish you did, but you've got hundreds and thousands of them. So can you share with them, what does a healthy brain look like?
Think of this. You've probably heard the word frequency before, right? And you meet somebody and you go, I don't like their vibe, because we really all have a frequency. Our National Institute of Health says there's a field around us that actually is called the biosphere. So when you think about when you're under stress, anxiety, and fear, your frequency, literally you become a negative thinker. You're thinking like everything's a threat. And they've done studies that show that when somebody's thinking like that, they can actually measure light emission from our body. Every cell of your body emits infrared light. That's why I can see you and you can see me. The camera picks me up because I'm actually sending photons from my body to the camera, and it's interpreting them and making me show up on your screen. And so when somebody looks at life as a threat rather than a challenge, they actually showed that those people have 200 times less light energy in their body. So this light energy is actually transmitting codes through light called photobiomodulation, biophotic exchange they call it, where it's actually influencing the cells in what they do. So when you don't have as much energy, you don't have as much power, you don't have as much coordination, you don't have as much skill. We always tell people that if you're not thinking, if you're not sleeping well, you're not thinking right, you're not performing right, the first place to look is between your ears. What's going on with your brain. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And there's some easy fixes, and then there's some things you have to do. Just like people go to the gym to work out. They work out their muscles. Everybody knows, hey, I've got to work out my muscles. Whether they do it or not is another thing, but they know they should do it. Well, we believe that everyone should be doing some kind of brain fitness. If people can understand that. Your brain can be worked out just like your muscles, but we're working the nervous system, not the muscular system.
What do we need for good brain fitness?
There's 3 things you need for really good brain fitness. Number 1, you have to have a good diet, because you can't outthink a bad diet, but you have to eat well. And there's a lot of information out there about that, but I just tell people, make sure you're getting fat, fiber, and protein in every meal. Mostly fat, because most people don't eat enough good fats, healthy fats, omega-3s and 6s, and really good proteins too. So in the process, then you got to move and breathe. You got to work out. You got to work your body. Like I said, you have to move that lymphatic system. And you only get that when you do deep breathing, like work yourself to exhaustion, and then you recover, and you work yourself to exhaustion, you recover. That's the way we used to be. We were doing that. Then the third thing, because we're now in a technology age, we're not in the industrial age. We need a technology that can now start to work on our brain, because we have to reorganize the whole way we think. This is totally different now. Our brain, when to give you an example, to change brain waves and do brainwave training, all we had to do is take a walk. We might walk through a forest. Our body is listening. Every cell is listening. And those cells are listening to the point that our DNA is responding to everything in our environment. Every DNA pair in your body is changing every 40 seconds. You change every 40 seconds. And that's based on everything in your environment. They call it epigenetics. So we can't change the 1% that they mapped out in 2003. But in 2018, they said, wow, that's not junk DNA anymore. It actually turns off and on so quickly we didn't know it. And they also showed that when you have a propensity to be negative, you actually shut down the genes that would make you succeed. You shut them down because your brain will make you right 100% of the time. So, we need to think positive and do everything we can to make it work out.
I certainly fanboyed and geeked out with Dr. Porter, and I'm so grateful that I have found BrainTap. Next episode, I ask him, what impact can stress have on our bodies? And how does chronic stress affect decision-making and productivity? And what can you as leaders do daily to keep your brain in peak performance mode? Now remember, stay tuned after this main interview for some huge news for this podcast and for you. Seran Glanfield comes from the pointy end of the financial districts of London and New York, but she is now the go-to expert for those looking to scale their studios, transforming them into sustainable, profitable, streamlined businesses. She's a mind-body certified coach and a Pilates teacher. And she recommends we should all read The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan. I start off today's chat by asking Seran the biggest challenges studio owners face when it comes to marketing their businesses.
One of the biggest challenges that studio owners face, especially the studio owners that I work with in the boutique fitness space, is that they often don't really have a clear plan when it comes to their marketing. They're often fantastic teachers, so passionate about what they do. They care deeply about their clients, but their marketing can feel to them really, really overwhelming, or perhaps not sure where to start, and perhaps even a little bit scary around, what should I say or not say? Am I saying the right thing or not? And I think when we take it, when I kind of peel back the layers of the onion, when I'm talking to studio owners who are in that situation, there are some sort of fundamental things that I think really help to make sure that your marketing is as effective as possible. And I think the first big mistake that studio owners really make is that they don't really, really get to know in who it is that they're targeting with their business. And I think that we often are so concerned about limiting the audience that we can reach, that we try to market to everybody, thinking it will get more people in the door, right? But the reality is that when your messaging is broad, when you're a bit trying to reach everybody, it won't actually resonate with anyone specifically, right? And so if you are trying to perhaps bring in a lot of different people, even if they're different ages and different interests and different demographics, what I found is actually that despite all of that across a broad range of, say, age groups, you can still find something that everybody wants from your studio. And so the clearer you can get with messaging and that is tailored specifically to your ideal client, the better your business and the stronger your business will be. And so I think that is sort of the biggest one. And I think that when it comes to this type of topic within the marketing world, we talk about an ideal client, I think that there's a lot of fluff around this. But my approach is that, I want the studio owners that I get to work with to really be able to use this as a tool to know whether or not they're going to be able to make decisions in their business that really are effective. And so once you know who it is you're targeting, not only do you know sort of what to say to them so that they will sit up and take notice, but you'll also have a better idea as to whether or not perhaps a new class time or a new class type or a new offer is going to really resonate as well, because you have spent enough time thinking about what it is they really want and what they're concerned about, what their hesitations are, that you are just so much better informed. So I think that's the big one.
Do you think owners are scared of actually micro niching down to specific markets? Is that their hesitation?
Yes. Most of the time when I get sort of pushback, there is a lot of concern that it means that their audience is going to be tiny. And what we see, especially in the boutique fitness space, and I think perhaps, it may be different with larger facilities, but when you're in the boutique fitness space, you have a very specific energy and atmosphere that you have that exists in your studio. And more often than not, you have a particular teaching style, you have a particular way of interacting with your clients. And because of all that, you are going to naturally attract a certain type of client. And I think that when we start to, I think that happens naturally and very organically. But when we want to sort of take that marketing to the next level, it's helpful to get clear about who those clients are. And when I do this with my studio owners that I get to work with, the biggest pushback I get is that what happens if I don't get more clients, because there's only a few of these people around. And the reality is that, when you have this ideal person that you want to market to, what you say to them will resonate with people who are perhaps outside of that perfect ideal client, but there will be things that you will talk about that will resonate with others as well. And so you're never really limiting who you're marketing to. You're just going to be able to be more effective with your marketing messaging.
I think that's a nice little nugget that it's almost like osmosis. Your message is targeted at A, but osmotically, if that's a word, filters out to a broader community or a broader client base. And I do agree with you. I think that big box clubs also struggle with focusing on a specific type of customer. So through your research and what you've done in your business, you've identified the top 10 marketing mistakes that studio owners make. We just talked about perhaps one of those 10. Do you have another one you could share with us?
The second issue I come across most often is, I think, inconsistency in branding. And there's two levels to this. One is the visual element of your brand. So that's your logo, your colors, and making sure that that is consistent across all the platforms that you're active on. And, this is a problem. If you're inconsistent with the visual elements of your brand, it's a problem because you lose that repetition, the value of being repetitive, and you aren't as memorable. And so I often have people come to me asking me if they should do a rebrand. There's a lot more to it than you think, because the logo you have and the colors you use have a lot of value. And so we want to be really thoughtful about that. And that means that we want to make sure we're consistent across different platforms with the colors, the logo, the fonts we're using. It helps just to build that trust, essentially. And then the second part of that is the consistency with the showing up, right? And being active as a marketer of your business. And so very sporadic marketing is very ineffective. And so not only do we want to be consistent with colors and the fonts we're using, we also want to be consistent with your use of messaging. We want to be consistent with how active you are. And that usually means, in the world that we're in today, two kind of places you want to be active. One is you want to be active online. You want to be visible online. You want to show the digital world that you are open for business, but you also want to be active and marketing in your local town, city as well. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is that they neglect actually that local effort when it comes to marketing.
You think a lot of owners are thinking it's a shortcut to go online and use socials and just generally online, and have forgotten about that community marketing?
I do. And I think that, oh gosh, we can go on a real tangent here. But I think that in the world that we're in today, where we are so connected digitally, that it's very easy to, and because of how overloaded we are with on a world that is online, we often overlook how powerful that person-to-person connection can be, and that connection and that influence that you can have, or the way that someone talks about your business to their friend, how you connect with other business owners in your town, how powerful that can be. But what I've seen more so than that is that how much quicker that marketing works. So digital marketing is really slow, and also a lot of time required. And most studio owners, especially the ones that I work with, they were not necessarily built to be digital marketers. And, knowing the ins and outs of the algorithm and how long your reel should be are not things that are sort of top of mind for most studio owners. And nor should it be. And if you're able to leverage multiple different tools that you have in your toolkit when it comes to marketing, one of them, definitely, yes, social media is a powerful marketing tool. And we can talk a bit more about some of the mistakes I see there. But I will say is that being active within your local community is a much faster way to make more revenue, I experience.
Now, can I ask you a question without notice? Years ago, they used to say that you needed to see a brand message 7 to 10 times in order to make a purchase, or perhaps even research. Is there any new data around that now? How many times do people need to see the brand?
Yeah, I mean, the number is higher now because we are just so overwhelmed. I mean, I see everything. I mean, I've seen it from 15 to 33, so who really knows? But today, because of how we are so inattentive, with what we see, the content and how engaging the content is important. And I think that is why in-person local network is always going to be more profound, because when you're having a conversation with someone face-to-face, it's going to be so much more impactful than a post or a graphic someone has seen online. And so this is where the digital marketing component gets really tricky, because you do want to make sure that you are putting out content that is reflective of your brand, your messaging, but is also really engaging. And that can be quite time consuming, because one of the other mistakes that I see, especially with social media, is that many studio owners are very passive with their digital marketing efforts, in that people may be posting, say, inconsistently, right? And if you're posting inconsistently, then you're not probably showing up as often as you think you are, because Instagram shows your post to only 2% of your followers. So that's actually a very tiny number. Or you're not showing people that you are taking perhaps your business seriously. So if you go to someone's Instagram feed, for example, and they haven't posted anything for, 3 or 4 months, you may assume that that business is no longer open. And so, if you're too passive or inconsistent with your social media marketing, it really can cost you as well. So consistency really is the name of the game with social media.
While we're talking data and numbers, with your clients, do you give a recommendation on what percentage of revenue would be spent on marketing?
So it really varies. I don't tend to give a percentage recommendation because, I see the insides. I review everyone's numbers, KPIs and all the things. And, margins vary enormously, honestly. And I hate to be so gray in such a gray area about this, but they do. And, the other thing is, from my perspective is that I want my studio owners to have all of this sort of the building blocks and the organic marketing down first before they start spending money on digital ads. And so what that means is that you want to have a really, really clearly mapped out customer journey that includes, obviously top of funnel marketing, but not just Instagram ads or Facebook ads or TikTok ads, but also you want to make sure that your SEO is nailed down, that your website is fantastic. You've got great calls to action on there. Your intro offer is working. You've got your email marketing automation set up. You've got a process for that first visit. And so you're not necessarily going to be throwing money at the top of the funnel only to then lose it as soon as someone gets in touch. And I'll be honest, for the most part, that is often what I see happening. And that one wasn't on my list, but spending money too soon on digital marketing was not a mistake that I was going to talk about, but I'm glad we rated it.
So Seran, if we're not going to talk about, say, the percentage, let me ask you this question. Does the general studio owner have enough knowledge to be able to do their own marketing, or should they outsource it?
That's a great question. Okay, a little bit to unpack there. And I think this is where we get into some of the details I think would really be helpful. So one of the things that I see a lot of studio owners do is that they move to advertising before they know how to market.
Oh, I like that. Let me catch you off there. What's the difference between advertising and marketing?
So marketing is where is more about building a relationship. Okay. Advertising is just a pitch. Okay. And that's how I define it, right? It's about this. Advertising is about selling. It's the billboard. It's the buy now. It's the call to action. Whereas marketing there's more to it because it integrates across various stages of the customer journey. And so whereas advertising is mostly top of funnel, but it's almost skips a lot of the middle part to the sort of the customer journey. When we're in the business that we're in, which is a relationship business, ultimately, we're in the business of building relationships with clients that we want them to keep coming back week after week, right? Month after month, and even year after year. We need to be building relationships with them from the first moment they get to know or learn about the studio. And so when it comes to the marketing element of it, is that I see that there is often a missing piece of the puzzle. And the missing piece of the puzzle really is that unique brand messaging. And so what that is language that describes what you do and how you do it and who you do it for in a way that uniquely represents your business. And really, it's so challenging actually to come up with some of this language because we often fall to the default of we are a Pilates studio, we are a yoga studio, we offer yoga, we offer Pilates. But, if you've been in the world of Pilates and yoga and boutique fitness for as long as I have, and I know you've been in the fitness world for a long time too, there's a lot of in between that. And it represents such a broad range of what's possible that we can't rely on those sort of labels anymore. We have to be a much, much clearer with our language. And so that marketing messaging element or the brand messaging element really is powerful. And when we try to promote our businesses without that language, it's always going to fall flat because you're not going to be able to resonate well with or attract and draw in the attention of your ideal client because you're going to probably sound quite generic, quite similar to everybody else. And that's when I see that sort of next sort of phase, the knock-on effect of that is then that folks tend to rely on price to attract clients in, and just price alone. Come and buy my free classes. And free classes will get people through the door, but they do not get people to stay. And that's, I think, one of the other factors that I see often coming up, which is, we're in the marketing efforts. We focus very heavily on top of funnel, getting new clients in, but we often neglect to continue to market to existing clients. And so that retention component in our business and in our industry is also really powerful. So, to recap, the critical element really is if you've got your marketing messaging down and you are able to really articulate the value of what your studio does for your clients, you are in a far more powerful place than someone who is spending thousands and thousands and thousands on generic sounding.
Well, thank you for summing that up. That was perfect. I love that. I had planned to get the other 9 of your 10, but I went on a bit of a tangent, so hopefully the Fitness Business Podcast community don't mind. But if they did want to get the other 9, what do they do?
Yeah, so you can come and ask me, but I share all of these on my podcast as well on a regular basis. So I have a podcast called the Pilates Business Podcast, but it's relevant to anyone who's in the boutique fitness or fitness space, because typically, the marketing mistakes that I see boutique fitness studio owners make are also the ones that I see many studio owners making across the industry as a whole. Everything from, knowing and not knowing your ideal client and not having that right messaging down, to being inconsistent with branding and perhaps over promoting without having necessarily established a connection with the client. So there are many, and that's the best place to go to listen in to a lot of the other mistakes that I see studio owners making.
I'm going to chuck that link into our show notes. So if you head to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and click on this show, you'll be able to get the links directly to Seran's podcast. All right, you talked about social media. In 120 seconds, how do we screw it up?
By not participating. Okay. So first of all, you got to participate, and you get rewarded for participating on social media. So you have to be active and you have to be engaging and you have to engage. Don't be a ghost. Don't post and ghost. Show up consistently, and create content that your clients are going to love. Not that your fellow trainers or teachers are going to love or what you love, but what your audience is going to want to see. There's the more you can use social media to build relationships, the better it will pay you back with your business.
I'm going to start a hashtag post and ghost. I love that. What about this other part of marketing, email marketing? We've done 4 episodes, and I'll put all the links to email marketing in the show notes again. What are your thoughts around email marketing?
I love email marketing. It is still I think the most underutilized form of marketing that exists. I see that it is not as favored. Like, it doesn't seem to have as much sort of appeal to studio owners often as, say, social media, although I know it is far more effective. And so I see there's 2 kind of components of email marketing that I recommend every studio owner utilizes in their business. Number 1 is you do want to have consistent, what I call nurture emails that go out. So those nurture emails are the emails you send to your community where you're talking to them as they're your best friends, and they are because they're in your studio on a regular basis, and you're keeping them in the loop on everything, and you're informing them and inspiring them and educating them on what's happening. That is one set of email marketing that I think pretty much everybody can do, no matter what size of business. The second part of the email marketing is those automations that you can set up in your fabulous booking software that you now have probably at your fingertips. And those are really powerful because they do a lot of the job of retention, and it really does help with keeping the new clients and current and past clients informed of where they're, what they need to be aware of in order to be successful as a client in your studio. And so I really recommend that if you haven't set up email automations and you have access to those in your booking software, that you do add those to, you switch those on, you edit the copy so it sounds like you highlight what makes you unique in that copy, you showcase your business, and you are using those to really maximize the conversion and retention of your clients.
And if your software doesn't do it, change software.
In this world today that we're in, yes.
And look, I'll give a shout out to Seran. Since we've connected, I've received numerous emails from you. They're all different. They're all educational, and I can feel what you're perhaps the templates are already in the software into your own words, so it sounds like you. So if you are listening and you're thinking, oh, I'll just put that into ChatGPT, that's not you. All right, so I've got just 2 questions to go. I want you to give us a scoop. You blog, you post, you have your podcast, which we'll put the link into the show notes. You've been on other podcasts, you've done webinars, you've been everywhere. I want you to give the Fitness Business Podcast community an exclusive. What is a tip or a strategy or a golden nugget that you've not shared before?
Well, I really did have to think about this because obviously having done this for so long, and I'm a complete open book, I don't hold back. So I did have to think about this one, but I think I've got one for you. And I think it's actually a really good one. I'm going to use it again. So you heard it here first. So here's, I think I would love for everyone listening to go and do this week, which is focus on the silent leads. Okay. So we always focus on people we see in front of us who show up, they click on the link, they buy a class, they show up in the studio, they're a new client, they're a hot lead, they're a warm lead, right? But out there, for every single lead you get in the studio buying that intro offer, there is hundreds, if not thousands of silent leads, people who are thinking, maybe in the process of consideration, right? Maybe they've clicked on your last email, but they still haven't purchased from you. So one of the things that you can do, you or whoever runs your marketing in your business, go and take a look at your emails, who opened them, but isn't a client. Any names that you don't recognize, maybe looking through your social media, any people who regularly look at your stories or click on any of those posts or DM you or that you've interacted with that haven't made it fully through that customer journey to the point of purchase yet. So they're showing interest, but they're not quite there. And maybe they just needed a little bit of a nudge. So I would encourage you all to, first of all, remind yourself that there are lots of people out there who are in that sort of silent phase right now, but that they are just possibly waiting for you to perhaps just pull them over the finish line with, hey, I saw you open our last email. Did you want to book in for that workshop that was mentioned? Or, hey, what about if you're wondering whether or not which class is the best class for you to try? Let me know and I can make sure that you get into the one that is best for you, right? And these literally, they will take you 15 seconds to send these emails. You're not going to put too much thought into it. We're not going to sit and procrastinate for weeks on this. We're just going to send 3 to 4 of these emails a week, maybe less, maybe more. But you will find that these little touch points and these little nudges will help to move a lot of people over the finish line.
I did have another question for you, which is what's 90-day challenge, but we're going to dump that because silent leads that is sensational. They could do that as a studio owner or a big box owner every week. There'd be silent leads. And I really liked how you added the twist of personalizing that email rather than necessarily sending a broadcast email. It's a specific one for them.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it with more of a broadcast as well. But I think that, I always think that the energy you put into something is the energy you're going to get back. And so this could be a 10-minute per week quick task, but, go after those people. If you don't go after them, someone else will. But right now, they're sitting out there waiting. And I think a little extra nudge, you'll find that they probably will move to the next stage of the customer journey very easily.
Well, continuing the theme of this interview, there's another hashtag, extra nudge. This has been a great conversation. I really love talking about marketing, and I learn every time that I speak with a marketing expert like yourself, new things, better ways of doing marketing in our industry. And I tip my hat to you coming from a corporate world into the fitness industry with fresh eyes on how we should do things. And thank you for professionalizing marketing for our industry.
Oh, yeah. I love this. I love what I do. I love helping studio owners to do what they do and reach more people. It truly is the best. I mean, who doesn't need more movement and wellness or wealthness in their lives, right?
No, I love it. It's great. And we will put all of your contact details in our show notes. Last plug, do you only work with yoga and Pilates studios or can you work with other people?
I don't. I have inside of my group coaching programs, when I work one-on-one with studio owners, I have online fitness businesses that I work with. I have Pilates, obviously, yoga, bar, dance, cardio, spin, strength, HIIT, everything in between. It is all, if you show up and you tell me that you love what you do and you love the movement and you want to help to reach more people and fill your classes, then I will help you get there.
And with that, she drops the mic and exits stage left. Thanks, Seran, for being on our show today. We really appreciate it. You've been outstanding.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Silent leads is a sensational strategy for any business, Seran. Thanks for dropping that nugget. Now, many consumers just need that extra nudge to get them into our businesses. In fact, speaking of silent leads, I recently heard that EOS in the US, well, they have salespeople that call old leads and they say, "My name is Justin, and my only role here is to ensure all our guests receive the free opportunities we offer them. And according to our records, you have a free insert X, Y, or Z." That is also a nudge to those silent leads. Oh, by the way, Seran doesn't stop sharing with this interview. She is giving you 360-degree branding, your checklist for optimizing your studio message placement. Simply go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com for the 540 show link, where you'll see the link and Seran's contact details to be able to download this amazing checklist. I'm excited to share that between now and July, we will be running 5 live online events. And these are 100% free to attend. We got smashed and amazing feedback on Lindsay Vastola's wise words on emotional intelligence back in show 529. If you missed it, there's a link in today's show notes. So on May 8th, we are launching our online events with Lindsay. She will be delivering a free online event at 3:30 US Eastern on the 8th of May. Of course, if you can't make it, there'll be a recording that we'll forward to you. Simply go to today's show notes to register, whether you want to join live or get the recording. And while you're there, check out the 4 other events we're going to be delivering to you. You can register for as many of them as you like, and they're all free. Sorry, what was that? Sorry? Oh, I hear you say you want more? Well, I have more. No steak knives, but I have more. Today, we launch The Insiders. This is an exclusive community of Fitness Business Podcast listeners who want more from your favorite podcast. When you become a FBP Insider, you're going to receive your Fitness Business Podcast episode a full 7 days before the general public. They're going to be monthly online events with industry experts. Plus, you're going to be able to ask questions directly to them and engage with them at a deeper level. There's going to be networking opportunities to connect online and offline with other insiders, exclusive resources, and insider-only strategies that won't be available anywhere else. Now, there is a tiny investment to be an insider. It's under $5 a month for the first 200 insiders. So you'll get, for under $5, all this exclusive content. Simply go to patreon.com/Fitness Business Podcast. If you can't remember that, there'll be a link in the show notes.
Welcome to our 3-minute sponsors pitch on the Fitness Business Podcast. We spotlight a Rex Roundtable trusted supplier who provides innovative solutions to help you enhance your facility, boost member engagement, and increase profitability. Stay tuned to discover their suggested actions to elevate your fitness business to the next level.
Hi everyone, Gary Lewis here, Director of Commercial Sales at PowerPlate. You know, we are the global leader in vibration technology and have been for the last 25 years. We're here to talk to you today about HIIT training. We all know the benefits, but we need to ask ourselves a couple of questions before we do it. Right? What if I'm a beginner? What if I'm not fit enough? Can I do HIIT training? What if I've got bad joints? What about my knees, back, my hips? It's going to put stress and load. Am I going to get hurt? What's the chance of injury? What about my motivation? Do I need to really motivate and get myself ready to do a HIIT class? Am I too old? Getting a little bit on in years, and can I do this sort of training? Well, finally, the afterburn, that rigorous activity, the burn. I don't really want that, but I still want the benefits. So we're here today to present to you a brand new program. Yes, it is all about our Power Plate, which has been around for 25 years. And more recently, we launched the PowerPlate Rev, the first of its kind bike with vibration built in. And we're here to present to you how they can be incorporated together to provide high intensity interval trainings, really super high, but we're going to do it at a level here. So it's going to be without the high intensity. What this really means is that anybody can do it. There's no age limit. The risk of injury is reduced significantly. We don't put stress and load on the body like we do with those dynamic ballistic movements. Most importantly, it's safe and effective. So those questions we asked before, I'm sure your members are asking exactly the same question. And what they're really looking for is they want efficiency in a workout. They want to make sure they're getting the best bang for their buck. They want to make sure that they're burning the calories that they need and to increase their metabolism. They want the stamina and the endurance of high intensity interval training. They want the variety, and they also want the short amount of time. And the secret to this is vibration. Did you know that vibration elicits involuntary muscle contractions at a rate of 30 to 50 times per second? Remember, I said the word involuntary, meaning that we are not the stimulant for the activity, but the vibration is. If you want to learn more about this, please call out to me, gary.lewis@powerplate.com. Remember, Gary has 2 R's, or you can call my cell phone number, 312-259-6916. Thank you.
Make sure to check out other trusted suppliers for Rex Roundtables. Wellness Spaces, delivering innovative recovery and wellness experiences. Solutions One, offering member engagement solutions for fitness businesses. The Abs Company, design and sells innovative fitness equipment. Clubcom, providing gyms digital entertainment, communication, and revenue solutions. Smart Health Clubs, offering customizable fitness software solutions for health clubs. Contact details will all be found at the show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Okie dokie, the first episode of Season 3 is in the bag, and you now have some homework. Register for Lindsay's online event, Own the Role, Achieve the Goal, How EQ Drives Performance and Accountability. The link in the show notes. Check out patreon.com/Fitness Business Podcast and become an insider today. And number 3, get shit done. I totally get a buzz when sharing the nuggets of wisdom our guests drop. But what really fires me up is when I hear that you've taken those nuggets and turned them into action in your business. That's why Season 3 is all about from talk to action. Speaking of actions, so you don't miss a beat, head over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and subscribe to the best show notes in podcast land. And as always, remember, what we leave behind is not set in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. R.I.P. Will, R.I.P. Vicky.